Lima Sierra Tango, thanks for the call. You're 5 and 9 northwest of Turks and Caicos.
What's up, everybody? Welcome to my channel. I'm Joey, K4LST, and I wanted to address the topic of call signs today. When you first get licensed for ham radio, the FCC issues you your first call sign. These are systematically assigned to you. And if you're anything like me, when you get your new call sign, you're like, what the heck is that? Just random letters. I think that's something that our own minds do to us because we spend time typically listening to other hams. We become familiar with their call signs, so ours seems so foreign and unusual. But don't worry, over time, it becomes more familiar. Still, a lot of people choose to change their call sign. You can apply for a vanity call sign, which is very similar to having a vanity tag on your vehicle. So you can get a customized, personalized call sign that may be significant to you, easier to remember, easier to say. And an added bonus is it can be shorter and easier to send if you're doing CW, Morse code, less dits and dots. If you are thinking about changing your call sign, let me point out a few things that I personally experienced. First, make sure you spend some time with the idea to see what call sign works for you, whether it's got your initials in it or whatever you want, and make sure that you've set it back, you've written it out. If you're into Morse code, you've tried sending it, you've done all of the things to properly vet that call sign. Two, if you're thinking of changing your call sign, do it kind of early on if you can. Back in 2001, at the age of 14, I was given the call sign KG4LST, Kilo Golf 4 Lima Sierra Tango. I didn't love it or hate it, but since I didn't know how it worked back then, I always assumed that at some point I would have a shortened version of it. You see, I thought that as you upgraded to General and Extra, that the FCC would automatically shorten your call sign, but that's not really how it works. So I ended up keeping KG4LST for years and years and years, and I used that call sign for just about everything because it was unique to me. It was personal to me. So I had an email address. I had other usernames for web-based accounts, even if they weren't ham radio related. I had an amateur radio vanity tag that I actually still have. Got that for my vehicle. And like just about every other ham, I had my logbook where I tracked all of my QSOs. Kilo Golf 4 Lima Sierra Tango, over.
KG4 Lima Sierra Tango, thanks for the call. You're 5 and 9 northwest of Turks and Caicos in the Caribbean Sea. The name is Bob, over.
I competed a little bit in some contests. I qualified for some awards. I got QSL cards. I did all kinds of things as KG4LST. Then one day I was like, oh yeah, I was going to change my call sign because the FCC doesn't do that, and I'm a amateur extra class now, and I've done all these things. I really want a better call sign, something shorter, sounds legit. I realized that everybody seemed to want the 1x2 call sign, like Jim W6LG, who makes a lot of YouTube videos. The problem is those are almost impossible to get. Everybody's trying to get them. It's a whole thing. I feel like all of the well-established and well-respected hams in our area had a W prefix, so I thought maybe I'd like to have a W. By that point, I had gotten so used to my call sign, I figured I would just keep the LST suffix, so I thought W4LST would be a pretty good call sign. Well, as things go, somebody else already had that call sign, so it wasn't available. By the way, there are great resources online to research the availability of call signs, if they're available, if they're expired, that kind of thing. You can go over to my blog, k4lst.blogspot.com, go to the links page, and then there's some that say like call sign research and yada yada. Great links. Since the W4LST call sign was not available, I thought, well, let's go with K4LST. We'll just drop the G, Kilo 4 Lima Sierra Tango. Sounds good. Also not available. At this point, I was kind of irritated, and I was like, no, I'm changing my call sign. Doing some research, I thought, what if I just get close to W4LST? Found that W4LSG was available. The G was in my prefix. Now in the suffix, W4LSG had a nice ring to it. I grabbed it up. I did really like that call sign, don't get me wrong, but it never felt like my call sign. I felt like I was operating using someone else's call sign. It just didn't have enough familiarity to mean a lot to me. I tried to power through. I set up all my logbooks again, all my software for digital modes, got another vanity tag for my vehicle, which I also still have, but I'm not running over there to get, set up a new email address, did all of the things, but it just didn't feel right. I was literally considering going back to KG4LST because I was kind of having this identity crisis. During that time, I started looking around online and found that K4LST was now available. I applied for it, locked it down. That's mine. I'm keeping it forever. unless I change it. I think I went something like 17 years as KG4LST before changing it, which made it all that much harder to change. Years and years of logbooks and things, you know, were just seemingly invalidated. I can't stress to you how many things had to be changed and updated. Simple things like email addresses, and more complicated things like trying to get a new certificate for Logbook of the World. So I definitely recommend that you change it early, make sure it's something that you want, and preferably just change it the one time so you don't go through this continual identity crisis like I did. Thanks for watching this video. It's good to be seen. I'm gonna try to be making some more things. We got a lot going on. Trying to figure out if we're actually selling this place and moving. So once I get reset up, I'll be making more videos about amateur radio. Thanks for watching. 7-3. I'll see you next time.